Fellow Kenyans, Steve Mbogo hapa. Now, basically, I just wanted to touch on a few issues. I'm one person who believes that you can never find a solution to any problem you're going through as a country if you don't understand the root cause of these problems. Now, you'll agree with me that the entire country is in shambles in terms of people's emotions and the feelings. You know, people feel betrayed, people feel the cost of living is gone up. You know, they were promised so much and they're not getting anything. And it's very important for Kenyans to understand what is really happening in this country. Without doubt and fear of contradiction, I'll tell you that the entire Kenyan systems, from the political to the economic, I'll say even probably the social systems, have been taken over by the globalists. Today, as we speak, the globalists control our entire political system, policy systems, and the economic systems. When I talk of the globalists, I'm talking of the IMF, I'm talking of the World Bank, I'm talking of the World Economic Forum. And we have to understand what these people are and what their intentions are in the long run. Now, I'll take you briefly towards the history so that you understand where I'm coming from. Remember, all these people work through serious organizations like the United Nations. The United Nations was created immediately after the Second World War. That was in 1946. In the 13th of February 1946, the United Nations formulated a document called the United Nations Charter. In the Charter, it states clearly that its key objective is to break down the sovereignties of countries and create a one world government. That is very clear. And as I've said, I'm not here to propagate anything. This is information that is out there. Go to the net, go to the web, look for the United Nations Charter, and you'll find this information. It states down everything, all the regulations, all the advantages that the UN will have, which is their agenda. Now, during that time, with this big agenda, and remember, even before the Second World War, the great leaders, for example, the likes of Hitler, the likes of Stalin, they all had the similar objective of controlling the whole world, but they failed because with them, they resorted to using force, which didn't work. Now, after the formulation of the UN, these organizations were run by a group of cabals or bosses or globalists known as the Bilderberg Group, which later on changed its name in 1971 to the World Economic Forum, now led by a German economist called Klaus Schwab. Later on, during this period, the world was experiencing what we call the Cold War. So immediately the Cold War ended in 1991, the Club of Rome started accelerating this idea of the New World Order or the one world government. Remember, it is even evident they did a book. There's a book called The First Global Revolution. If you have time, go online, look for that book, read that book. That book states clearly that the biggest enemy of the world is humanity itself. In 1992, more than 166 countries met under the UN and signed and agreed that the biggest problem the world is experiencing is overpopulation, and that they should create and formulate ways on how to depopulate the world. And I'm telling you, Kenyans, this is information that is out there. You can go out there, research, read, and get to understand. The acceleration started, and they formulated a document under the World Economic Forum. If you go and read about the World Economic Forum, this is an umbrella of the globalists, the rich people of the world. They meet in a place called Davos every year in Switzerland, and they decide the way forward. You know, this year will invest in this, we'll put these laws, we'll put this, formulate these policies in these countries and so forth, create this and create that, destabilize this and stabilize that. That is, they are, in quotes, the bosses of the world. To me, I believe we are all equal, but that's their mentality, which they have a right to believe whatever they believe. In their strategy of depopulation and control, in order to create the one world government, they picked on few issues to tackle. Number one, the basic thing to do to control mankind and also to depopulate mankind is control the food. You control the food, you control humanity. So they've been putting in place and forcing leaders whom they control in all these countries to create policies that at the end of the day will frustrate the citizens, will create food shortages, and will end up creating hunger, starvation. Hence, depopulation will be there, either in the form of malnutrition or lack of food. And these things are coming, I'm not joking. You want to take it for granted, it's up to you. Since no leader is talking about this, since no leader understands what's going on, I've taken this mantle to talk to Kenyans so that let us discuss the real issues. Let us discuss what is ailing this country. If we can solve that problem, I'm telling you, our problem is not money. Our problem is not economy. Those are things we can solve. We've done it before. Kibaki did it before, without help from anyone. We have best brains in this country. But we have to understand that our president has been held captive, and it did not start with Ruto. If you look at all these policies, the implementations started during Uhuru's time. I was in ODM, I was a NEC member, and I'll tell you 101%, and any NEC member, including Raila Odinga himself, will confirm. I am the only person who left and told them there's a game being played. And I guaranteed, and even if you go to our walls before they remove me from the group, go to the walls of the NEC, my last message was, we will go to elections in the next 2 years, and Uhuru will never take Raila to Githurai, leave alone Mount Kenya. As much as Uhuru does not like Ruto, he had no option. These were conditions given to him. And they knew they cannot control Raila Odinga. That's why he had to pass the mantle to Ruto. Let no one lie to you. They might have their own personal differences. They don't like each other. But they all were and are controlled by the same system. That one you can take it to the bank. Now, I'll speak of the few things that we've seen in this country that are being formulated. I've told you, the New World Order agenda aims to control the whole world by creating a one world government. When I talk of a one world government, I'm talking of one government, one president, one army, one judicial system, and it trickles down. For them to do that, they came with a formulation document. Number one, control the food. Number two, identity. And that's when they came with the new idea of the digital identity through the help of IT, so that they can be able to control and know each and every movement of each and every person on earth. These things are real, these things are coming. Now let me touch on food. How are they going to do it? It's through formulation of policies. They came up with the agenda of climate change. What does climate change has to do with agriculture? Number one, with the climate change formulation policy, it says agriculture in itself is what is creating the changes in climate. Number one, they're bringing in restrictions on nitrogen fertilizers. Number two, we have seen in Kenya here, even from Kinjuri's time, when he formulated what we call the strategy document, when he was the minister. Today, it is illegal to share seeds. So even organic seeds, if I'm to give my neighbor for him to plant in his 100 acres, it is illegal. We created policies to allow foreign companies to come and patent their seeds here, which you're not supposed to buy from anyone else apart from them. And mark you, majority of these seeds are genetically modified seeds, which, number one, are very expensive to buy. I'll dare you, go on Google, Kenyans, just check the price of tomato seeds, GMO tomato seeds. The cheapest you'll get is about 10 million shillings per kilo. The best quality is about 50, 60 million shillings a kilo of tomato seeds. So what does that mean? If you're forcing me to buy these seeds as a normal farmer and I can't afford 10 million, what is the next thing I'll do? I'll abandon farming. And that's what is happening. They brought in laws on potato farmers. They brought in funny laws on farming just to break down the farmers and ensure you're no longer in the industry. Same as livestock farming. What does the climate change policy say on livestock farming? It says livestock farming releases greenhouse gases, which release nitrogen in the air, hence affect the climate. So they're saying now you have to register if you have cows, if you have cattle, if you have poultry, and if you don't, there are hefty fines up to millions of shillings to scare you. All these things are done by design because they want to control the food. Remember, I have told you, in the World Economic Forum, in the New World Order agenda, they state very well that the idea is no one should own anything. The entire land, the entire farming should be owned by the corporations. So my friend, when you're busy talking about this housing project, the housing projects is a must for Ruto to do them because he's been told he must do them simply because in the next few years, there's no farmer who will be able to farm in this country. And the next thing they'll do, they'll give you offers. They'll offer you money for your farm. Once you hand over your farm, they'll give you an offer. They'll tell you, by the way, we have an apartment which you can get at a better price. You've heard words even from the president himself where he says, I think it is time people should leave rural areas and come to urban areas. We need to free up space for farming. Free up space for farming. You know, some words like building back better. You know, building back better. Go on YouTube, just type build back better. Go on Twitter, build back better. You'll see the people who mention that word and what they say. They are all aligned to this agenda. They call them sustainable development goals. It's not sustainable, my friend. All they want is total control. I will tell you, as a Kenyan, as a patriot, someone who cannot be bought, and it's sad, no leader is seeing the angle in which this thing is being directed. So, my friend, stop asking about the housing projects and all that. All those houses are meant for all those who will lose their land. That's why there's no structure. That's why even the MPs, that's why even the Attorney General comes and says he knew nothing about this housing thing, you know, because it is above his level. It is being done by the cabals and it is through policies. MPs, please, I know how they control you, but please, before you amend and pass these bills, read them. Read them. When you go to the United Nations Charter, most of the countries in the world have even signed that they are going to surrender 30% of the land to the UN for the purpose of conservancy, to preserve climate. Today in Kenya, laws are coming. You know, read, laws are coming to give the government powers for compulsory acquisition of land. You know, they come to Kitui and say now the entire Kitui, we need to do some conservancy here. So you people have to leave. Compulsory acquisition, and you are offering 10 shillings per acre or 10 million per acre or 1 million or free. You know, it's government, my friend. So these things are there and it's the UN saying it. They're giving them the way forward. The path is being created by them. Now, once you control the food, it means hunger will come. People will be frustrated. You've controlled the food. Number two, control their economy, frustrate them economically. Look at this country for the last 10 years. When did you last hear of a success story? There's a businessman who started a business and is doing well. You can't do well because the system have been made to break us completely. Who formulated the law that you can't withdraw 1 million or deposit more than 1 million shillings? When Ruto was campaigning, he said he will make sure he opens up that law. Why has it not changed? Why is it the one who was in charge of treasury during Uhuru's time and the one who was in charge of central bank? Why is it the same people who we said and cast them that they've brought down our economy? Why is it that when Ruto came in, they didn't bring in new people? They just swapped them. Tuge went to the other side and Joroge went to the other side. There are only two reasons why you'll do that. Number one, it's either to control information, or number two, to continue doing what they were doing, which you and I know is breaking the system. Number three, now once you create all these, people will die of stress. You know, many people, look at the mental cases going on in the country. Look at the diseases. Look at the pressure people are going through economically. People are frustrated. People are, you know, it's like people are going crazy. Now you cannot even farm. There's no food. There's nothing. What next? Now that we've started dealing with the numbers, we now need to control them. How do we control them? We control them through the digital ID. Remember, very soon, this entire economic system, the dollar system, the world reserve system, is going to collapse. There's going to be an introduction of the new CBDCs. They're called the central bank digital currencies. We are all going digital. It's like the bitcoins, you know. And the digital currency will be attached to your digital identity. So my friend, you break the rules, like you say things against the government, for example, what I'm saying, you can't use your digital currency anywhere. You go to a shop to buy sukuma wiki, you're told mteja hapatikani kwa sasa. So you understand what I mean. You know, you can't travel, you can't move, you're told you can't leave Nairobi. Out of Nairobi, my friend, your digital currency cannot work. So you cannot survive. So those are the things that are coming. And how will they do it? It's very simple. How do you do it? You create chaos. How do you create chaos to make people adapt the digital ID? Because some countries, people will rebel. So what do? Open the borders. Free visa. Open the borders. Because, you know, the moment I open the border, all that will come in an expectation, in a year or so, chaos will erupt. Then the government now will come as a good Samaritan and tell you, oh, please, because there's so much crime in this country, we now need compulsory acquisition of digital IDs to everyone so that we can know each and everyone. And my friends, you will get that digital ID. And once you get that digital ID, you are in jail. Slavery is coming back, and this is real. I'm saying it from the bottom of my heart, and I'm saying I'm not propagating anything. This is information that is out there. Go read about the Davos agenda. Go read about the World Economic Forum. Go read about the New World Order. Go read about the UN Charter, and you'll understand where we are heading to. That is what is happening, my friends. That is what is happening. Not once, not twice, not thrice. Your president himself, he's told even his leaders. I watched when they had the PG at State House. He said, my hands are tied. Now, he is the senior most civil servant in the country. He's the boss. Who else can tie his hand? And he is the boss of all bosses in this country. It is the globalists. And they've taken over. And I think he needs help. I think he needs help. You know, we should not just ambush him. I think that man is suffering and he needs help, because it's a point of no return. Today, you've seen, yesterday they were in Uganda. Raila is opting out. And remember one of the last interviews Raila did, he said, I've realized it's not Ruto who stole my elections. My elections were stolen by some people who have interests. Now it's me telling you, because they're always scared to say. They're always scared to mention those names. Because the few leaders who mention, you know the story of our neighboring presidents who died funnily. You know, you go, we know them, you know them. You go against them, they deal with you. Anyway, people like us, personally, I'm not scared of anything. The worst thing in life is, there's one old man who told me the richest place on earth is the grave. Because beneath the grave lies so many ideas, lies so many eye-openers that did not utilize the time when they were alive. So I decided to use this time just to talk to my fellow Kenyans. The worst thing is when our kids will grow up and find we live a beautiful country like this where our forefathers died, poured blood for us to have this slavery, this beautiful country, and we're leaving it to the dogs, you know. It's so sad, you know, when our kids will be asking us, Daddy, Mommy, where were you when all this was happening? We have to start speaking now. The media, focus on the right issues. The media, don't be scared. What we are saying is, let us talk about the fundamental. Let's cascade down to the roots and know the real causes of our problems. And that's when we'll find a solution. The few leaders who've been there and been trying, I want to applaud one, Okia Omtata. But you seem not to recognize him, you know, because he's a nobody. We are meant to believe that in opposition it is so and so is supposed to talk, and so is supposed to talk. My friend, every Kenyan has something to say. Even a beggar on the road can save your life. Information is power and knowledge is king. So Kenyans, I urge you and the media, from today, start researching. Start reading about all this agenda, the New World Order agenda, the Agenda 2030, the World Economic Forum. Read about the UN Charter. Read about the globalist agenda, and you'll understand what is happening in Kenya is the same thing that has been happening all over. Today, for the whole of last 2 weeks, you've seen farmers in Germany, in Spain, in Holland. They were all demonstrating. Why were they demonstrating? Because of similar policies. Land is being taken from them. Now it's being owned by the globalists. They set policies where they snatch the land from them. And that is what is coming in this country. It is coming. So are you ready? The question is, are you ready? Anyway, if there's any leader, any person who disputes what I'm saying, I'm ready. Call me for an interview anywhere. CNN, BBC, Al Jazeera, Kabeme. Call me. 1-on-1, 2-on-2. Even the president himself, I'm ready to sit with you. Challenge me, I challenge you. I'm doing this for Kenya. Kenya is my business and my business is Kenya. Thank you, Kenyans. Kazi yanze.